All right, and we are live once again in Doomsday's Krypt with another episode of Shootin the Shizz with Dk and The Schwag, and our special guest tonight from Vengeance 1 and 2, and Jason Voorhees from Roseblood. Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome Jason Brooks once again to the show. Welcome, Jason.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
If we had an applause track, we'd have that be the right spot for it right there. Everybody clapping.
I
Jason Brooks.
dragged that intro on. Like I was like, all right, let's end it there. But I finally got it through. What's going on, Jason? Welcome, Brett.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks, man. Hey, so Jason.
Yes.
Man, I didn't realize we're both on West Coast time. You're up there in the Seattle area. Is that where you grew up there in Seattle?
For the most part. I've been, traveling between Washington and Texas and Hawaii, but most of my life has been up here.
My wife is from Olympia, Washington, so once in a while we get up there. I know it's very rainy, but I love the area up there.
Yeah.
Now, I know you've been on the show before. You've been on with John before, but give the folks at home a little background on yourself and growing up, maybe liking the horror business or liking the movie business. Tell me a little bit about yourself.
Yeah. So, I've been doing the horror movies for kind of about 10 years now. I grew up a little bit sheltered. My first horror movie was Halloween when I was about 8 years old. I was being babysat at the time while my parents went out for a Halloween party, and the babysitter was watching it, and I kind of snuck out and watched it with her. And then kind of scarred me a bit. But then in my teens, I started, when I started getting my own taste going, every year for my birthday, I'd have horror movie watch parties. And we'd have friends over, watch Friday the 13th, Halloween, Nightmare on Elm Street, all those. And I really liked it. I was really into the effects and curious on how they did that. I've always been into the behind the scenes and the how-tos. And so I was really enamored by that with movies in general. So, but always wanting to be a part of movies and filmmaking. I ended up meeting a guy named Todd Redemus who was doing TBR video. He was doing little short trauma type videos and movies, and helping him kind of film those and doing some effects for him and some acting, which kept me through until Vengeance, which became like the bigger thing. And then from that point, everything just kind of springboarded forward and got bigger.
Now, were you self-taught on the special effects? Is that something you taught yourself, or something you just kind of, helping your buddy out that you learned? And
yeah, it's one of those things. Like, I've been able to figure things out on my own quite a bit through life with that or other things. And I've always kind of been artistic, always kind of leaned toward horror style art. Even my early drawings as a kid, I was drawing skulls and weird surrealistic things that all kind of surrounded around horror. But with the effects, I just started figuring it out until there was internet and YouTube, and I could start looking and learning from other people, seeing what they did, always absorbing like a sponge. When I worked with Mick Strawn, I just soaked in all his knowledge. He taught me quite a bit himself from his experience in past. And so always forever grateful for that. And just, if someone else can do it, I figure, why can't I do it? I mean, they figured out a way, they have a way, I can do it too. And that's how I've been doing it.
Well, even going to Vengeance too, you stepped up your own roles and gave yourself more responsibility, because you didn't direct the first one, you directed the second one.
Yeah.
And I remember you showed your severed head the last stream we did, and you painted it and everything. I don't know if you have it near you, but you showed it last time. It was spot on. I think somebody glanced in. I was like, I thought he had two heads or had a twin brother, but it's a spot on. Yeah. But that's got to go a long way too in filmmaking, and especially indie filmmaking or even fan films. I mean, knowing how to do everything. And that's where I tell a lot of people, Jason reminds me of Damien Leone, because not because your styles or how you make a movie, but the fact that you guys know how to do the SFX, you know how to write, you know how to act, which you have on top doing Jason. You got the build and size for it, but now you're directing and producing, and you work great with Peter Anthony too. Got to give him a big shout out.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Peter's, it's probably mostly his fault that I did a part two. We had the fans all coming to us and saying, we really want the part 2. When are we going to see it? We wanted the continuation. And everyone was burned out. Everyone was exhausted and tired from doing the first Vengeance, because this is a lot of work. People don't realize to do something of that size. And, but the fans kept coming, and Peter's like, you got to do it. You got to do it. And so I finally agreed and just went forward. And Jeremy Brown, the director from the first one, he was gracious enough to say, I'm burned out. I'm done. I'll move on to other projects. So I'll hand my baby off to you because I trust you to take care of it. Since I did so much on the first one. And my thought going into the second one was, okay, great. I'll direct it. I'll be Jason, but I'm going to need help doing all the other stuff. And then at the end of the day, when it comes down to it, there's not enough people, willing to work for almost nothing. And so I did quite a bit myself, the special effects. We had a great team, but I led that, the props, the design, the set design again. So it was definitely a labor of love, but it gives you a lot of control over what ends up on screen too.
Doing cutting costs and doing your own special effects and doing a lot of that stuff is great. I mean, I got to work with, Robert Hall and Almost Human. Robert, when he did the first Laid to Rest, and when he did Chrome Skull, he's using all his own guys and using his own shop. You can save a ton of money. Oh, yeah. And like you said, you got a little bit more control on what you put out there. Now, from the acting standpoint, is it tough also directing and acting at the same time? What do you like doing best? Would you rather just be in there, a killing machine, or do you like to also sit back and do the directing as well?
I love the acting more. And luckily, when I was doing Vengeance 2, my director of photography, Cody Newton, he's a director first. He just happens to be really good at photography as well, and cinematography. So he came on and he was DPing the whole thing. And when I was in costume, he would essentially direct. He would, we'd stop in between, he'd show me the footage and everything. We'd take another take if we needed, but that was extremely helpful. I wouldn't have been able to do it without him for sure. But in the end, he's a very talented director. I learned a lot from him. I've learned a lot from every director I've ever worked with. But I do prefer being in front of the camera, on screen, acting, being the killer, I love creature acting too. If I can get a mask on, I'll take that role.
Yeah, the costumes are great, by the way. Now, can we talk about did you guys make them yourself, or did you talk about because that stuff's, there's a lot of people out there that do, we've had some guys on, Jordan Dufork and other guys who, make my costume and stuff when I go out and do appearances. It's Leatherface and do other stuff. But folks don't realize, especially when you're doing a fan film, the fans are really critical about costumes, masks, and everything. And you guys, in all the 3 films that you were in playing Jason, were tremendous.
Oh, thank you so much. The costume. So I made the first Vengeance costume and the second one. And Roseblood was done by Marcio Charlie. He made 100% of that costume. Who's an amazing, amazing artist in Brazil. He also made the flesh parts for Vengeance 2. So if you see the skin underneath with the bones, and then the hood, the mask underneath the hockey mask, that was all Marcio. But all the cloth parts, the rips, the tears, the cloth, everything else, the mask, that was all me and my son. And whenever I do costuming for any of my projects, with this included, like I designed the Elias costume that we had, a lot of the characters and everything. I always, in my mind, I want them to be cosplayable. Like if somebody were to look at it and feel inspired to wear that, I want it to be something that would be recognizable, or something that would be, the costume and wardrobe has its own personality, and have it be unique. So it's identifiable. And I didn't want to just throw on a normal Jason costume, like a part 6 one, and just go with that. I wanted it to be unique, so that someone could say, oh, I love that look. I want that look. I want to wear it. And I think it's paid off, because a lot of people they've cosplayed it, which is really an honor and humbling to see other people cosplaying as you. So that's one of the things, is silhouette. Is it cosplayable? Is it recognizable? And that's kind of how I start my costume stuff.
I love how it flows, and it's really the first Friday the 13th where the look actually flows from part 6 to, I call it part 7 and 8 in its own Jarvis universe. I love the films. I think I mentioned the last time Friday the 13th part 6 was my first Friday the 13th I watched, so it's got a lot of nostalgia for me. So seeing the continuation, I thought you did great justice to it with the whole Jarvis storyline and arc, and then adding in Elias and the Jason chemistry, I thought was fantastic. It's my favorite fan. I call it a real film, but fan film out there, Jason fan film. And there's some really good ones, including Roseblood, which you were in, which is right up there with it.
Oh, thank you.
Speaking of Roseblood, you know that mad Cuban guy, that guy, Peter Anthony. What's going on?
There he is.
Double trouble now.
Thanks for having me on. Big man Brett, what's going on?
Yeah, speaking of big man, now, so I got, I got to watch Roseblood. I think it was last night I was watching it.
Yeah.
And Peter, my God, how big were you in that movie? You either that or that suit was really tight. Your general uniform.
282 in that one. But most, I used to bodybuild, but then fat. I just lost a ton of weight. I lost like 40 pounds. So, but I just can't. I haven't lifted in like 13 years, really. So, because I had just so many injuries and stuff. But I used to like take it for real, serious, like bodybuilding. Yeah,
you look good, and you can tell that you've cut up, and you're looking to, being a big guy. And if you're going to be an actor, sometimes you can be too big, right? So. Yeah. Especially in our business, you don't want to look. We're still big guys, right? We're going to look good. If you have some lean muscle, you're still going to look good, big on camera.
Yeah.
When you're 305 pounds like I am, sometimes it'll kill you on camera because you look. I'm 6'5", 305. I even look bigger, but really liked Roseblood.
Thanks.
And I will tell you that, I really liked it. I thought the acting was great. It was well done. It was well directed. It was well written, and Jason, everybody in the movie did a really good job.
Now, did you catch? Because this is like the big one that we always bring up with fans. Did you catch that Michael was in the movie the whole time?
Did I catch it? He was in the movie the whole time?
Yes,
I did not. I know you told me that to holler back at you, and if there were some questions, I did not catch it
because it seems to be a driving factor for most fans. The only reason why I bring it up because they're like, "Oh, I don't understand why he's at the end," and I'm like, "Well, he's always there." So Rose can manifest Michael, and Tina can manifest Jason. So Rose killed her parents by manifesting Michael. That's Michael that killed her parents, and then later on, when they're in the room and the guy says he has no face, it doesn't mean someone's face got ripped off. It means he has a white, paleless face. You actually see his kitchen knife go through the door. That's a hint that it was Michael. And then when she's drawing with the red crayon, it's Michael again. If you go back and watch a second time now, you'll see like those little hints in there.
Yeah, Roseblood's one of those movies where you really, the first time you watch it, I think it gets you. And then the second time you watch it, you really absorb things because you don't know what to expect with it. Yeah. But Jason was just telling us that you're the reason that Vengeance 2 happened. And he was saying, now I've gotten to know you pretty well. So I think he was just covering for you saying, the fans wanted it. I think you just wanted to see how you died in that movie. I think that's the only reason Vengeance 2 happened. It was all about Peter.
Be honest, bro. The first scene got cut off, right? Like you don't see us die, even though we kind of shot some of it. My kill in the second one, and I'm just telling it the truth. It wasn't even that great of a kill in the movie. It's probably one of the weaker kills in the movie, and I like that it's like that because I mean, don't get me wrong, fans wanted to see me die. I looked fucking sick with the one white eye and my head ripped off and all that. But as far as the kill, because everybody in part one, I was the only marketing guy in part one. So everybody, Jason can tell you this. Jason Brooks is shy. Jeremy Brown never wants to do an interview. Dustin didn't want to do an interview. All the major actors, right, Jason? Nobody wanted to do an interview, right? So I had to roll whatever I had, which is the picture of me and him. So everybody's like, "Oh, it's all about you. You just want to be in there, yada yada yada." I'm like, "No, it's not fucking true. It's all we had." So in the second one, I kind of glad that it got knocked down a little bit in a weird way, and that all the other kills and the rest of the story and everything else kind of took over. But yeah, I Jason wasn't going to have me in it, and then one day he called me up. He's like, "Hey, I think I can get you in here." And I'm like, "Oh."
Well, we ended up with like 24 versions of a script, actually like 16 or something like that. But the first 6 had Peter in it. Yeah. And he was going to come back like his character survived. And then it was going to be Robert, the other character. who survived. We see at the, after the credits, and that was going to be their story. And then they had run into the daughters towards the end, and then there'd be the big fight. But then Robert, he joined SAG, and at the time he wasn't available, so he didn't come back to the film. So we had to do a complete rewrite of the whole thing and start over. So then I was like, hey man, you're not in it anymore. I can't figure out a way to put you in there and have it make sense. So you're out.
Cool with it.
And now Peter's like, well, whatever's good for the story, man. Like, it's all about making the story good. So, but then once we got the pickups and the reshoots, because we had a test screening on Friday the 13th, we all watched The Fall of Camp Blood in Sean's theater. And then while we had a group of people in there who were Friday the 13th fans, we're like, let's throw the rough cut up there and let's see what people say. And so people, we all watched it, and we got some feedback from the people, and they were like, yeah, I just didn't understand who the sheriff for Lottie was. Why was Angelica holding her side the whole time? And we're like, all right, okay, so we need to update the audience and bring them back up to speed on the events of part 1. And how can we do that? And so that's where we got the morgue scene, so we can have the passing of information between the people, and kind of have it in a fun way. That's not just in an office or out in the woods again with cops talking. So that way we caught the audience back up, did that. And I'm like, hey, Peter, we're going to have a morgue scene. We're bringing Diana back. Do you want to be back in there? We'll have your kill. We'll do a flashback. I mean, we're going to do a flashback of Louis, a flashback of Diana, and actually give justice to her kill, Darcy the male girl, Diana Prince. But then we didn't have enough time to finish that kill to do the flashback with her. So we just kept Peter's with his big thick head.
Yeah. Can I elaborate on this, if I may?
Yeah.
There was so much fucking more in this movie that got taken out. Because you asked Jason, I didn't even give a shit about my scene. I wanted this Louis scene that we were going to shoot to be in there. Because like we were thinking, I don't remember whose idea it was. Jason, me and you went back and forth so many times over. It's yours. But about how do we keep Louis alive somehow? And we're like, well, we do a flashback of him in it, or we show his cabin. So that scene got taken out too. They actually shot that in Vengeance too, in Louis' cabin. And Louis like an international man of mystery. He's like with a president. He's naked holding a fucking fish. Like all kinds of cool shit with Louis. And one of them was supposed to be me and Robert inside the house, and we were going to put a VHS tape in. And it was going to be a porno of Louis in there with a fucking goat and ping pong balls and 2 hot chicks and shit. And we had like a ton of jokes lined up for it, but we never did it.
Yeah. Well, you have the goat idea. I was like, I'm not doing the goat.
Since you guys both have directed, obviously, and you've directed a fan film, from a standpoint of that, what do you guys worry about when you are doing a fan film as far as directing? Is there some pitfalls there? Is there something that because it's based on a successful series? Is there stuff that you worry about as a director and producing on this stuff?
You can go, Jason. It's your show.
Just getting it all done. Making sure everything's on schedule, on time. I think that as far as worrying, I mean, we're both fans. We're both big fans. We know what we want to see, and so we just kind of make what we want to see as fans. On part 2, I had the luxury of being able to take the fan feedback from part 1 and incorporate that into part 2. Like, what did they miss? What did they want to see? What did they fell short? What did they like? And I really listened to them to see, what I could do. So I was more worried about, I guess, just making sure I could accomplish this huge task, because it was massive. We should not have been able to complete that film with what we had, but we did.
What was
I love the kills.
Both films. I mean, just out of curiosity, for Vengeance 1, I'm sure you had a bigger budget for Vengeance 2, but how much? I mean, you guys did a lot with that film, and I can't imagine a ginormous budget, but like I said before, you helping out with or knowledge of SFX had to go a long way, and Peter's help, of course.
It's funny. We had a conversation recently about the effects in there with another film that's being created. They're like, how much would it cost to do those effects? We broke it down because there's another film who is trying to get that same amount. And I was like, I did the calculation. I'm like, it's about $200,000 to do those effects from Vengeance 2. And they said, oh, you're spot on. Cause they talked to a couple of Hollywood companies to do effects, and they quoted them $200,000 to $250,000. So, but that came out of my pocket. I donated my time, of course. And I spent a lot on the actual effects myself, on the materials to make it happen. But our Indiegogo raised like $70,000, And then once Kickstarter takes their money, Indiegogo takes their money, you pay the taxes. It's actually about $46,000, which, you know, covers all the costumes, the food, the wardrobe, any props, flights, hotels. It's just everything just adds up and nickel and dimes you everywhere. And it doesn't go very far. So
it's all, if I can jump on that, it's all about profit percentage too. People are like, oh, you raised 70 grand. Well, we did a good job of having a high profit on the 70 grand. But sometimes if it's 70 grand and you only made, Jason said, well, you brought back 40. Well, how much did it cost you to buy everything? Right? Shirts, machetes, all that. Then you take that away. I mean, for me, I mean, Sean Lutzis, I don't even want to shoot a number out. $300,000 he's probably put into it. Jason's put 10, 20, 30,000, 40, 50, $60,000 in. I've put $80,000 in between Vengeance 1, a little bit Fall Camp Blood, and mostly Roseblood. I'm 60 grand in debt to the IRS. I mean, you could go on and on and on. And Jason, it's funny you said that because somebody asked me once, Pete, you're marketing for, you know, Roseblood, like 14 hours a day, this, that. What would that cost? I'm like, 50 grand, 100 grand. I mean, for someone to do that 12 to 15 hours a day, every day for 9 months. I mean, it's a lot of work, but it's worth the sacrifice. And then Brett, back to yours with the directing. I just wanted to make sure the costume looked good, which it did, that Jason Brooks nailed Kane, because when you try to do Kane, man, you'll have people fucking kill you if you don't get it right. And I didn't really have any reservations about Jason. Just a couple times I'm like, hey, do this, do that. And then just make sure everything was ready. I asked Jason, I have a spreadsheet with like A, B, C, D, E, F. If this goes wrong, we have G. If we have this, it's H. I'm like so like over organized. If I'm not organized, I almost don't know what I'm doing. So I just wanted to make sure I was organized, efficient, and I feel like that was the strength. And the strength is, at least for me, is Jason knows a lot. I didn't. Jason, I think, can tell you, I just listen to people that are a lot smarter than me, including Jason, Cody, Sean. And if you listen to them and empower them, it becomes like a team effort and it works.
It's definitely got to be a team effort, especially when you don't have a giant budget and you don't have the manpower, right? When you don't have a whole crew that, you don't have 10 to 15 PAs and you don't have that stuff. Not to mention when you guys are doing the Indiegogo to raise money, now you got to get all those perks as well, right? You got to get those perks that people don't realize that's cost money, right? I mean, you can try to, do every perk. Well, we'll give away this machete. We'll give away this from the movie and everything else. But pretty soon, coming up with those ideas as well to like, what are we going to give away? Well, that's got to be just nerve wracking.
But then not only does that have a cost, but they're shipping too. And shipping over the last couple of years with COVID and everything has shot way up. And so shipping costs a lot more for everything. So like right now, all the perks that I'm sending up for Vengeance, that's coming out of my own personal paycheck. Like we spent the money on the film. We don't have more money. It's not like there's not more money coming in for it. And so and when you think about having to buy 1,000 DVDs and Blu-rays and, they don't cost, think how much do those cost? It's times 1,000 and then VHS and posters and machetes and little busts. And it just, all of it just adds up and it's thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. And in the end, it's like, you should sometimes ask, like, why did we do this? Why am I blowing my paycheck on this? I could be going to Cancun, but you love the franchise, you love what we do. And the people you meet along the way and the impact you have on people and fans. So
to answer Cheetah, because we love it.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I knew
Yeah.
your answer would be that. You gotta love Friday the 13th. You gotta love filmmaking to do a fan film.
You'll be there.
Level.
Like one time we're sitting there, Jason, I'll tell you, you're so busy, you don't know what's going on. And then one time I'm sitting there and I'm eating and I look over and there's Terry and Lar and Kevin Spiritus and all of a sudden you're just like, what the fuck am I doing? It's just like it hits you once in a while. This is why you're doing it. You know what I'm saying? And then the fans and everything like that. So
and
look who you've worked with.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, last night I was over at a Ticker who was in the movie. He had the Tourette's and stuff. He's staying locally here, so I went and hung out with him a little bit last night. And while we're there, Darcy DeMoss FaceTimed me, called me and stuff. And I'm like, hold my phone up, like, check it out. And so we're we were talking last night, and then this morning again, she FaceTimed me because my partner Naomi is down in LA. So they walked around Hollywood Lake together and everything. And then they FaceTime me from there. And I'm just like, this is my life. It's crazy. Like these people, Richie Ramone and Darcy DeMoss and CJ and Ruby and Tamara Glenn, all these people, Paul Taylor, they just text you. And how you doing? Rob Mello, how you doing, brother? What's up? I hope you're doing well.
The Dash
Thinking about
family.
you.
The Dash family.
And the Dash family.
Yeah.
And I mean, even Catherine Cochran from the first Terrifier, the one who got cut in half upside down, she messaged like a couple of weeks ago to me and Naomi and because she knows us and stuff. And she was like, hey, thinking about you guys, been watching your travels. I hope you sounds like you guys are having fun. And like, what? This is crazy. And it's not what we did it for, but that's kind of like what the outcome was.
Yeah.
And but just to expand on that question further, the cheetah question, why we do it, we love it. We want to tell a story. We want to have a story told that has not been and that we want to see. But other people, the cast and the crew, I've heard from them what they do it for is, and they don't do it for a lot of money, or a lot of them do it for free. They just donate their time. And a lot of the actors, the alumni do it for free too. And they do it because they love it. They want to give back to the fans, and they want to keep their characters going on. And a lot of the other people are like, well, you know, I could go make $100 here or there working on a short film that might go to a festival that no one's going to see or care about. Mm-hmm. Or I could go and do this, which will be seen by millions, and people will see my performance. People, you know, people on Vengeance 2, they write me all the time like, oh, I was just in Vegas and I got recognized in this store. And I was over here on the plane and I got recognized. And people like, someone just asked me for my first autograph because I was doing this. And so they know the audience. They know that it's got a built-in audience already. So that's why some of these other people are willing to donate their time and effort and do that.
Yeah, you know,
go ahead.
Oh, sorry, buddy. What I really loved McLaughlin and is it Rob Mello? And they're
great.
Listen, man, I could watch those guys. You could do just a sitcom with those two together. Is that a lot of improv, or did you actually write that for them and or did they just go for it?
It's about, I'd say 50-50. We had some really good dialogue. They hit the points that I wanted in there, the comedic points. But the problem was when we got on set, we were next to a highway and there was a lot of freeway noise. And so we're doing the sound. The sound guy's like, this is bad. How are we going to handle this? And so Tom McLaughlin and I were talking and we're like, why don't we just have you guys yell at each other? Like, you guys are dumbasses and you have the music cranked. So you have to talk over each other. So then we can crank the music up and make that part of it. So we did that, which then led to more improv. And I always tell all my actors, like, I'm writing for God knows how many characters. I can't get into everyone's head. Make it your own. Like, the script is not the letter of the law, it's the spirit. Like, certain things, if they need to be said, I'll tell you, but make it your own. You know your character better, and just own that. And they do. And so they went off script. They got their script parts in, but then they would kind of ad lib and do some improv, and it was brilliant. And so what you see in the end is actually about 4 or 5 different takes cut together. I took the best pieces of each take and then having them go back and forth and made it look like one. But yeah.
Wasn't it Rob's idea to have a zipper open?
Yeah. When we got in the set, Rob was like, I think my character would have a zipper open and his like underwear hanging out and stuff the whole time. I'm like, all right, let's do it. I like it.
And one more thing, sorry to hack the show here. Weren't they really drinking at one point during that?
Well, it was iced tea.
Oh, fuck. I thought they were really drinking.
It was iced tea, but I think that we slipped Rob Mello a little bit of rum. Like, Rob was, Rob loved his rum at the time, and he was sober on set and everything. But I think that maybe he may have needed a little bit of a kick at one point to level out, but not anything in excess, of course. Right. And yes, did Jason mention the Ramones? I mentioned Richie Ramone, the drummer from the Ramones. He was in it. He was Richie,
and he took over for
drumming chops on a shoe.
And he took over for David. That was supposed to be David Howard Thornton's spot, right?
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh, wow.
It was an evolution. So originally David Howard Thornton and Felissa Rose were in it. And they were both actually together on another film, working together, which ended up falling through and not happening, I heard. But they became unavailable. So then I had to recast and then rewrite. Originally, David Howard Thornton was going to be the character, one of the boyfriends from Angelica's best friend. And he was going to be throughout. But when he was unavailable, we're like, crap, what do we do? And then Richie is really good friends with Tamara Glenn from Halloween 5. And so Tamara was like, hey, my friend Richie Ramone, he wants to be in it. I'm like, wait, Richie Ramone, like the Ramones Richie Ramone? And like, yeah, do you want to talk to him? Nah, you know, of course. So he calls me up and we talk and get him in there, and he killed it. Like he's just an amazing human being. And so we rewrote it so that he's in a band. We added the band to it, put him in there later in the story. At the roadblock, kept him in there. And then we replaced Felissa Rose with Darcy. So Peter was like, what are we going to do about that? And he reached out to Darcy, like, would you be interested? And I'm like, isn't she dead? And he's like, did you see her die?
Yeah, no.
No, I guess not. So,
Yeah.
we got Darcy back because Peter also, so that's his fault.
And Darcy's just the best ever. And she's like in the same shape too.
Amazing. And
Yeah, there, obviously, I mean, the whole scene where they had all the traffic and everybody's there, and then Jason, you start killing everybody.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it a lot. I was like, okay, what's going to go on here? And then it just kept going and going, and I'm like, okay, but I enjoyed it. I loved it. It was really good, and I love to see when just people that maybe irk you. Some of those people irk me a little bit. So when they get killed, I love it. When I see, but. And then I like the use of the different, which was nice, is because he just didn't use a machete throughout Vengeance 2, right?
Yeah.
Sledgehammer, which is a little favorite of mine. Pickaxe, the pickaxe. So I'm like sitting there going, "Ooh, this is shades of Fulci Zombie with the pickaxe in the tree, and then slamming the eye in the face through it." I loved it, and so the cross when CJ smashes the guy head with the giant cross. I thought that was brilliant. I loved it.
I love the theater reaction every time when that happens. Everyone gasps because they're not expecting, like they're expecting when they see it, like, oh, they're going to do it. Okay, it's going to cut away, but then we don't cut away and we just show it. And everyone is just shocked by it. And
you edited that really good, Jason, because I remember the first time you showed that to me, I'm like, dude, this cross scene sucks. I don't like it. And you're like, remember? And then all of a sudden you sent me another cut and I was like, this is fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Because
But it was, and the way I write kills, I want to do something original. And I like when Jason, being zombie Jason, being a little bit mindless, like I try to get into his head of what would a caveman who just gets this tool for the first time, how would he use it? And not necessarily like, because the machete to me gets boring, like stab, stab, stab. So in a pickaxe, like, okay, we could throw a pickaxe in someone's head or in their chest. I feel like we've seen that. So that's why I want to like, all right, let's throw it to the tree and then let's shove the head onto it slowly. And that is more cringeworthy. That's more like you kind of want to look away sometimes. And same with the chainsaw. I don't want to see Jason running around like Leatherface. I want to see a different way that would be used where he doesn't necessarily know. And like, but he knows it's sharp. He knows it's deadly and he'll just shove a face down onto it. So that's how I like to write kills, is to repurpose a weapon.
What was the name of that big motherfucker you had in the trailer? It's like a
scythe?
weed whacker.
The big scythe?
Is that what it's called? Just the big
Yeah.
scythe?
Yeah.
Okay. Right.
That was a real
That's
thing.
what I when you had Tam Glenn in there, I thought you were going to use that. I was waiting for it.
I know, right? Because that's how she died in 5,
Yeah.
Halloween 5. But it was something a neighbor gave to me about 10 years ago. They were like, oh, you like this Halloween stuff? I have this old tool here if you want it. And so I've had it ever since. And I wanted to put it in the first one. Didn't make sense. But I was like, I'm definitely going to use it because this thing is badass. And then I was going to kill Felissa Rose with it, but then we got there and once we had Tamara Glenn, it's like, should we change it? Nah, because I don't want to be too on the nose and just repeat everything. So the only tie we really kept in was her red top, which was her choice. She's like, I decided to wear the red top to kind of match her Part 5 costume. and then her nod to Haddonfield.
Yeah.
So
That was awesome.
Jason was
I was really hoping with the site though. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
he's gonna do it.
Jason,
Gonna do
remember
it.
you were like sending me pictures. Remember, you were like finding old farm photos and old farm equipment and machinery. Remember, and you were sending me shit, and we were like, we don't know. And then all of a sudden, you had a picture with that thing. I was like, holy shit, that thing's perfect.
Yeah, I love that thing. I just wish that it was better on camera. It was like, it looks cool in person. It's huge, it's massive, but then actually filming it, it's really hard to get that right and to make it look as imposing as it really is. So, but I think Cody did a good job.
Now, so, I mean, you know, being another fellow creature guy, actor, well, I don't want to say creature, but guy that's worn costumes in a lot of movies and stuff. You've done it 3 times. Not a lot of people can say they played Jason 3 different times, 4 different times, sorry.
5
different times, for God's sakes. What's next for that? Do you want to? People are asking in the chat room, will there be a Vengeance 3? I mean, do both of you guys, since you guys have directed, you know, the fan films, and are you done with the fan films? And do you want to get out of the costume, or do you want to do, you know, some mainstream comedy? Do you want to do some drama? What do you got? What do both of you guys want to do?
Well, I would love to wear the costume again. I'm always up for wearing it if it's the right story, the right thing and stuff. And if the studios came and said, hey, we liked what you did there, I mean, in a heartbeat, I would absolutely do it. As far as making a Vengeance 3, probably not. I think we wrapped it up pretty well. It just takes so much time and money and everything. And I think that we're ready to move on to other projects, some original IPs. I just got done with a movie called Diced, where I play a different killer, the Scarecrow and stuff. And so you can see that on my page. That one's looking pretty cool. And then we got like a few of our own stories that we want to make. So we have a lot of really good stories that we're not kind of handcuffed by Friday the 13th lore that we can kind of expand on. And so we're really looking forward to getting our teeth sunk into those.
That's what I was going to add in with what Patrick was saying. Doing a fan film, whether it's Friday the 13th, it gets a lot of attention, no matter what, whether it's Michael Myers, Leatherface, Jason. And I feel for a lot of filmmakers, it's a great way to get your foot in the door, show what you can do, and then transition into those original ideas, get the more backing to it, get the reputation, and then doing the original ideas, I think goes a long way. I did want to add that to what Patrick had said before. So I wanted to put that in. So
And I agree with Jason. Like he's being nice about it. There's no way we're going to do another one just because of how much time and money it takes from all of us and effort and everybody's sacrifice too. I mean, you're really calling on 20, 30 people to make large sacrifices in their life and come out for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, spend their money, their time, like do makeup, do this, do acting. It's a lot. And the other thing too is we learned especially me, learned so much over this time, learned about DP, learned about directing. I never directed or wrote before. I learned from Jason. And then you get these people that are so good, like Jason and Naomi, Sean, Cody, Josh, the sound guy for me. And now you're like, okay, now I have everybody I've been looking for. Now I can make my own thing and it could be a success where it wouldn't have been a success before.
And you can't, if you do a fan film, you can't profit on it, right? You can't go out. So it's like you said, you guys have spent hundreds of thousands of dollars that you can't recoup. And it's great that people go, hey, man, you did a good job. And it's great that you've learned and now you've assembled a team. But yeah, listen, it's not about making the money, but now it's about, hey, let's make some money. Let's do some more stuff. Let's get some into the theaters. Let's see what happens. Let's see one of these production companies go, yeah, I like what you guys did on your own. Here's some money. Let's see what you can do.
And that'd be great.
And to not have and this is not me with the fans, John. I'm all about the fans, right? And so is Jason, and we do raffles. We put fans in our films. Love the fans. They become like family. But it's okay, now I'm gonna and Brett, we talked about my new project. Now you can go out and say, I want this guy for that, and this guy for that, and this guy for that, and there's no lulls. You're trying to get the best for every single position, so that to see if you really can do it. So that's part of that next process. And everybody's doing. I'm sure everybody who's done a fan film who's had success is transitioning.
Yeah,
I look at it. You guys both. you guys both talked walk the walk and talk the talk with what you guys did. I mean, you guys invested in yourselves because you believed in yourself. Correct. And it was successful. Roseblood was successful. The Vengeance 1 and 2 successful. I've heard more great feedback than bad feedback on all three films, really. And I couldn't see a Vengeance 3. I think you guys had the perfect arc, the perfect ending, the way you did it, and the whole Jarvis arc. CJ doing the flash, the in between, not flashback, but cutting in between part 6 and Sackhead, and just a lot of Easter eggs, a lot of nods to it. And it was just an epic showdown. And I think the whole ending was perfect. I don't think there needs to be a Vengeance 3 as much as I loved 1 and 2. And I'd love to see more original projects from both of you guys anyway.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Yeah. Jason putting Steve Dash's grandson in and having his whole family come out when we were on set to do that scene. The people were crying.
I love that
so
tribute.
Special. So
that was
special.
a great tribute.
Yeah.
So for both of you, what's out there right now? What have you guys over the last couple of years been watching that you like, and what kind of directors and maybe some writers that you guys are following, that some of the movies you like, and what's out there that kind of floats your boat?
Honestly, I've not been seeing a lot. I've been so busy. Like, literally, my partner Naomi has been gone for a week now, and I've spent 24 hours. If I'm not sleeping, I'm working on behind the scenes still. It's like editing a whole nother couple of features because there's so much content. But and then when it's not that, worrying about perks or working on other films, doing your day job, because we all have day jobs to pay our bills. In the meantime, I really have not had the luxury of watching anything in the last year or two. I wish I could say I did, because I feel kind of lame saying I missed out on so many good movies. But I don't know, Peter, you got anything?
Well, I'm, as you know, so Steve Barton is one of the producers for Terrifier 1 and 2, and huge fan of his. And I seen him at Monster Mania, and I'm trying to work with him on my next project, Brett, which we were talking about. Because
Steve Barton's a great guy, yeah.
Yeah, if I have to, and I'm a cocky motherfucker, and I always say I could do it better than that guy. I don't care what happens. But once in a while, I'll sit back and go, holy shit. And that's Steve Barton. To take that film, which was such an independent film like that, part 2, which is basically an X-rated film, if you look at it like that, get it internationally, get it in theaters, get your own t-shirts, your own figures, your own everything immediately, and have the massive success like that. Jason knows how much work that takes. People just think that's easy. It's not fucking easy. It's just so much work, even just to do the Indiegogo that I did, or we did. But for him to have that success on that high level with everything they did with that movie, which is a super niche of a niche market, is so impressive to me. And that's why I definitely want to work with him in the future. So that's one person I definitely look up to.
Yeah, Steve on. He's such a good dude. Just hearing his story and getting to learn more about the man behind the movies, behind Terrifier 2, because he wasn't behind Terrifier 1, but he jumped on board. He saw the potential with it. Yeah. And I mean, just his whole story, what he went through to get to where he got to. I mean, nothing was
with his online site. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, he grinded and grinded.
We get drunk, dude. He kisses my forehead goodnight every time. It's the only guy I let kiss my forehead like that.
That's awesome. Yeah, fantastic, dude. I really enjoyed having him on when I talked to him. Learned a lot.
Since I've been hitting, lately, I mean, this year I'm doing a lot of conventions. I just overextended myself doing conventions usually, but you get to see a lot of these people. You get to see the Terrifier crew, right? Damien and Howard and everybody on that crew that's been in the movies. You can see the fan base. They have lines that are out the door, right? You got the Scream folks, right, that are doing a lot of the conventions, giant lines. But then you look over at the Terrifier crew folks, just as big of lines. You see the people that are lined up that love the movie, that love those people, and when you get people like Damien and the rest of the cast and the crew that are so generous with the fans, you go, wow. See that they understand that the struggle, and they understand that that wow, something good is happening right now, and they're being so generous with the fans. It's awesome.
I think the genius part of that film is they tapped into a market that no one even thought existed. So you had slashers, but now you have like splatter gore That's what that is. They're kind of clarifying it as splatter, different than slasher because it's so over the top. So who even knew that people were fiending for that? You didn't know until they did it. And then they marketed that. And I'm sure people will copy it, but they're the one that tapped into it. They're the geniuses that figured it out.
Splatter gore.
Splatter. Yeah.
That's just a great name for a movie. Splatter gore. Let's go.
Yeah.
Well, I honestly, and I've told Peter this too. I think you and Jason are two of the top guys coming out now. Nicole Vegas who's here. I love that trailer from Sean C. Phillips. I mean, there's so many good filmmakers coming out of indie right now that, like, I'm really excited for you guys to be doing these original projects. I know I want to see Roseblood too, because that has to happen. But now the Vengeance is
really good, and I get the money, I'll do it. Yeah. If I make 10 million, like Terrifier made 14.2 or whatever, then maybe I'll do it.
There you go. There you go. Well, you don't cut yourself short. 25 million. You got you got to have a little bit of extra money for the yacht and stuff.
So big man, your eyes are all good. Everything's good now.
Yeah, thank you very much. And I know we got a lot of So we're filming Desert Fiends out in the desert, which was great. Tom Arnold, Bai Ling.
Jason, I was telling him in different words, but how good Bai Ling still looks at her age.
Hey, let me tell you something. And she loves red, right? She will wear a red dress, red bikini, red mini skirt. It doesn't matter as long as it's red. She's in it. Yeah, she was great. It was great. I don't know if I got a sinus infection. I started getting headaches. I started getting blurred vision. So while we're up there in Vegas, I went to urgent care a couple times. But I mean, I've been hurt on a movie before, a very expensive movie. So I was not about to, get hurt again while I'm filming. So we got it done. I got an MRI. The first time I went and got an MRI a week ago, I got in that tube and got out in 30 seconds and told the guy, hey, listen, and he was a big dude too. And I said, you don't want to have an issue with me. Get me out of this thing really quick. Yeah. And then I went and did an open MRI Monday, and they said no brain damage. I got brain damage. It's just it's
I was gonna say.
Yeah, it's just being normal. But yeah, the eyes are getting better. No more headaches. Taking a steroid, which God, who knew that I could do steroids again? But I'm doing a legal steroid. It's not making me any bigger. I wish it was, but
it's androgenic.
It seems to be clearing stuff up, which is great. So. Just, I know now that, well, actually, I don't know. I don't know what happened, but I know I'm going to be careful again. But yeah, I had a great time filming with Sean C. Phillips, and we had Robert Lasardo on the set, who I'm a big fan of. Robert's as an actor, and
I'm supposed to be working with him on Sunday.
Oh, great! Yeah, great guy. I've watched him in everything, for God's sakes. With Seagal and a whole bunch. I mean, Robert's been in every movie for the last 30 years. Great actor.
He was in John Wick too.
Yeah, one of the first tattoo guys that I saw that was just covered in tattoos. I'm like, look at that mofo. That motherfucker's getting work, and he's a great actor. So,
what were those movies he was in? Death, whatever, with the other guy, with the English guy from Fast and Furious, the shredded guy. Remember those cars were racing each other? Death Race. Whatever?
Death Race 2000 or something.
He was in that. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was great. Sean C. Phillips put together a really good crew, raised some good money. They're still raising some money, I think, for editing and whatnot. Eric Yoder, really, really good special effects guy. Did some really great. The masks are amazing, and we got it done. And the trailer, they put a trailer out, 2 weeks after we finished filming, and it looks great, and it looks very brutal. So I'm excited. There's a lot of humor you're not seeing in it, but. I'm excited about it. So it was fun to film, and what do we got coming up? I did the Charlie Day movie, which is finally coming out with Kate Beckinsale, John Malkovich, and the late Ray Liotta, and a whole bunch of other people, which is coming out in May. So I'm excited. I had to make sure that we get on the red carpet for that, because I haven't done a red carpet in many, many years. So yeah, That's awesome. Yeah. But thank you very much. Mad Cuban for always sending me a little thing. I hope you're feeling better. Get your eyesight better. But yeah, so things are doing good. We got May's a big deal. Going to be traveling around, doing a lot of conventions and whatnot, and doing some street drags, street racing through Kingman, Arizona. the Kingman Street Drags. They shut down the middle of town and have drag races through it. So there's a lot of good stuff coming up. And me and John here, Doomsday Krypt Keeper, man, we got a lot of good shows and a lot of good guests coming up. So
Good.
a lot of good movies to check out. I didn't get to go see the new Evil Dead, but I've heard good things about it. So
It comes out Thursday, right? Thursday night.
Is it Thursday night?
Yeah,
It
I mean, it's
comes
really
out?
Friday, but if you want to do the
Yeah.
Thursday late.
Yeah.
Oh, before I forget, Jason Brooks, happy birthday, brother.
Oh, thank you.
oh, happy birthday.
Thank you.
What was it, on the 12th or 11th? Because you're
12th,
like
yeah.
2 days. Yeah,
Couple
yeah,
days
yeah.
ago.
Yeah,
He's still in
you're
his
2 days
30s,
after
for
me.
God's sakes.
Yeah, I have 40,
I wish.
I have 47 and my back's out. You know, it sucks.
Oh,
Bro,
And
I'll be
talk about
47
conventions,
in a month.
This is my last year in the 40s. Next year,
Oh.
I'm 50.
Gosh, look at these young guys, for God's
I know.
sakes.
Right? Right.
I didn't have all the grays in my 40s. Then 41 kind of kicked in and they start sprouting out like little weeds.
Yeah, you gotta hit those down.
So for both of you, what is coming up, and what can the folks, if the folks want to check out what you got coming up, or maybe they want to get involved in something you're doing, what do you got coming up, Jason?
I've got the next thing I'm working on is a film called, I just got done with Diced. It's another slasher movie. I play the killer scarecrow in there. We got 259 coming up. It's a demon possession movie. We got Laugh coming up, which is a Peter Anthony production. We got Metal Kingdom, which is a Steven Spielberg style feel good robot type of movie. And then a couple other ones that we're trying to secure and get some signatures on. So yeah.
How about you, Mr. Peter?
Just one. I want to try to do Laugh and really work on that. So this weekend I got to write more of that script, but that's going to have Terry Kaiser, Jason Brooks, Todd Jenkins, who's been in everything in the world, won a Golden Globe for what was that show he was in, Jason? That was
Reservation Dogs.
Reservation Dogs, not Reservoir Dogs, right? Reservation Dogs. And then Amy Cote, I have.
She was in the chat tonight.
Yeah, Amy Cote have for scene. I'm working on a character for Big Brett. I don't know if you know that, John or Jason. And Jason, David McMahon just moved back to Connecticut to his old dad's house. I talked to him yesterday,
amazing.
and he played Dr. Sykes in Roseblood.
He's amazing.
So definitely want him. And then there's some big names that I want for these big character parts that I'm not going to say yet, and go from there. But we have a budget of $30,000 just for a 3-day trailer, and then shop that trailer and then go from there. But Jason knows the scene. It's very, very artistic and very like beautiful, if I can say. Like it's basically a play going on with no words while I'm one of the main actors in the bathroom doing some crazy shit. And Jason, I gave him these what?
You can't say, but you're saying.
Yeah, sorry. And then I have these 2 kills. And if you've ever had a phone call from me about a kill, it's like I'm on crack. And I'm like, bro, we're going to do this. Can you do this? And then I'm like, you can't do it. I know you can't do it. I got to get somebody else. Jason's like, I can do it. And then he'll send me shit with him like working on it. Like I want this crazy effect with someone's face and stuff. So hoping, I'm a big story driven guy. If you watched Brett, Roseblood, there's a lot of story before Jason. Some people like it, some people don't, but I'm a big story driven guy. So that's what this movie's going to be. It's going to be maybe a few kills, but really just like a psychological thriller.
Nothing wrong with the story. Sometimes you got to set stuff up and you got to put the people on the right path to understand what's going on. Then you can do the forced violence and all the fun kills. So,
right. Amy Cote, little cameo in Vengeance too. Also, if you didn't catch it.
Yeah, the beginning of the movie on
beginning of the reporter outside the museum. Yeah.
John, what do you got coming up, buddy?
Yeah. Oh my God! Hopefully, I got a chiropractor appointment coming up, so I can get my back moving again.
I've done
just trying to get things organized, get things ready, getting inventory ready for July, because July, August, 2 cons in September, 2 cons in October, and plus working my job. In between that, it's gonna be busy coming July. So, gonna try to get ready. Maybe hit the gym a little bit, get a little bit, ready for these long road trips. Yeah, and the other one's behind Jason.
Yeah. I met him at
Black Lights.
Where did I meet you at? Which one was that?
That was Scarefest.
They were showing Fall of Camp Blood and Roseblood in the movie theater there, and then I saw him, and he had this for me. Amazing.
That's a
Yeah, those
Michael
two are-
Toth masterpiece right there.
I look like
those are-
Rocky Balboa. Look all dumb. Look at me.
Yeah, you look great. You look fantastic.
Yeah.
No, but in the black light, both those are sick.
Oh, yeah.
Those
They are
guys-
awesome,
those-
yeah.
they're killer. But that's Michael Toth for you. I got so many cutouts. I'll be bringing them to conventions too, so they'll be there. We got some new stuff coming. The three-eyed
me and,
demon, the new one will be coming out. You'll see we had the prototype that I showed, but the new three-eyed demon, that's going to be the centerpiece. It's going to be pretty sick by Josh Lucas. So that's pretty
John
much
and
what
I
got
are
going
doing
on.
a whole bunch of conventions this year together. We got at least 4 we're doing together, so we're excited
Yeah.
to.
Any on the East?
Yeah, Monster Expo in Taunton, Massachusetts.
Oh, I'll be there.
In October.
I'll be there.
All right.
We will save you a seat. Then we will put you at our table.
I want to
we're-
do some more East Coast, though. I want to try to get to Carolina Fear Fest and some of these other ones. I got to get to a Texas one.
You got to go Monster Mania once, bro. I mean, that one's to me. It's
Yeah.
yeah.
Next year, I'm going to plan it out. I got some ideas going into 2024 after this run, so we'll see what happens.
Cool.
Well,
But
Jason Brooks, thank you so much for coming on and spilling your guts to us. And the Mad Cuban, thanks for coming on and supporting him and getting him going and talking the thing. You guys are both of you are two very talented actors as well as directors and writers. And so I know personally, I'm excited to see what you guys got both coming up, and also look forward to hopefully working with you both as an actor and being in some of your projects. But listen, you guys have done great jobs. You've been kicking ass, and I know the fan base and all the folks in our chat room are excited to see what you guys got coming up next. So keep up the good work, keep the faith, and of course keep when John calls, please come on so we can fill some time.
Yeah,
Well,
thank you so much.
Thanks for allowing me
Appreciate
to.
you guys having us.
I think you two are just getting started. You guys keep your
Yep.
eyes open for Peter Anthony and Jason Brooks. Some amazing stuff coming.
Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Looking forward to it, guys. Thanks for coming on, Brett, co-hosting with me. It's great to see you, Jason Brooks, and thanks for surprising us and coming in, Peter. Always
Yeah.
great to talk to you, my friend. And Sunday, we have possibly Joey Montano from Danzig and Hell Yeah, bassist for it. And we're going to have him, he's a big horror fan, have him come on, talk some horror, talk some music.
Talk
just
some
waiting for him to
metal.
confirm. Yeah, some metal, rock and roll, man. We'll be ready to grind it out. But I just got to hear back from him. It looks like it's most definite. So it'll be 9 p.m. or 10:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Sunday. And until next time, guys, take care and see you soon. Thanks again.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.
Peace.